morning, everyone. I'm Keiko Yoshikawa, Deputy Director of the Center for Climate Change Adaptation of the National Institute for Environmental Studies. I'd like to thank all of you for joining this session and Professor FURUMAI for giving me the chance to speak here today. Before starting the lecture, let me introduce myself. I joined Center for Climate Change Adaptation of National Institute for Environmental Studies, CCCA of NEEDS in short, last summer. Previously, I worked at the Ministry of the Environment. In Japan, the Climate Change Adaptation Act specifies that NEEDS shall be responsible for the knowledge sharing about climate change impact and adaptation and providing technical advice to local governments. In positioning such work by law, the NEEDS requested the Ministry of the Environment to dispatch human resources who can understand the administrative aspect. So several staff from MOEJ, Ministry of the Environment, come to the CCCA. So I'm not a climate change scientist, but I have over 20 years of experience in environmental administration. So today, I would like to talk about Japanese legal system for climate change adaptation, role of the local governments, and planning for adaptation. If I have time to spare, I would like everyone to try to use AP-PLAT, Asia-Pacific Information Platform for Climate Change Adaptation. Before starting legal issue, there's an easy to understand VTR about adaptation. So I will share it. So this VTR comes from Climate Adaptation Summit held in January this year. So starting the VTR.
The ice caps are melting and sea levels are rising. Bushfires are raging in Australia. Hurricanes are devastating the Americas. No matter what part of the world you live in, you've probably felt the effects of climate change in some way, whether through flooding, heat waves, crop failures, or water shortages. So now that climate change is here and becoming impossible to ignore, what do we do? People around the world are making heroic efforts to limit global warming. Perhaps you drive an electric car, you've stopped eating meat, or started thinking twice about buying fast fashion. As we take better care of our oceans, forests, and soil, Mother Nature is doing her bit too, by keeping some of the greenhouse gases out of the atmosphere. Of course, all this is great and necessary, but it's no longer enough. We need to take our efforts to the next level. It's time for full-on climate adaptation. In plain English, that means adapting to the changes that have already begun. Adaptation means reducing our vulnerability to rising sea levels, extreme weather, and food shortages. It also means taking advantage of new opportunities, like longer growing seasons and increased crop yields in some places. People could grow rice in parts of Africa, or make wine in Scandinavia. Makes sense, right? So we urgently need to step up our efforts to adapt, because the impact of global warming is only going to increase. We need to adapt now. And here's the good news. Humans have adapted to climate change before, and we're getting better at it. All over the world. We're building better flood defenses. We're anticipating hotter weather. We're greening our roofs and gardens. We're using porous paving to deal with excess water, improving water retention and use. In Bangkok, they've turned an abandoned railway bridge into an elevated park that helps soak up increasing rainfall while reducing air pollution. In Vietnam's Mekong Delta, where sea level rise has inundated rice paddies and ruined harvests, farmers are reducing losses by planting earlier and switching to new, hardier varieties. But we can and must do much more. Leaders in government and business need to radically rethink how they make their decisions. They need to understand the risks of climate change and take account of these risks in their plans, policies, and investments. And society needs to dig deep into its pockets to finance the necessary adaptations. Okay, so much for the lofty language. What are we really talking about here? Here are a few examples of the kinds of things we need to do next. In Bangladesh, coastal cities could install an early warning system for cyclones so that a young couple will hear the siren and be able to get their family to safety in time. At macro level, that same system could save their community 10 times the money they paid for it. In Zimbabwe, a farmer could grow a new type of maize that's more resistant to drought. In Denmark, engineers could redesign city streets to make them less prone to flooding. And in Indonesia, a business executive could use water risk data and maps to help him decide where to invest his money. Meanwhile, his government could plant mangrove forests to protect villages from flooding and create rich fishing grounds as a bonus. Feeling inspired? Good. Because all this isn't just up to world leaders, mayors, and the people who write the checks. It's also up to you and me. Each and every one of us has a part to play. Our actions don't have to be fancy or high-tech. They can be cheap and practical. A resident of Manchester can green her tiled garden so that heavy rains will drain into the soil and the trees will keep her home cooler. An urban planner in Colombia can paint roofs white to deflect dangerous heat. Yeah. And did you know that some trees are more fire resistant than others, so they can help protect homes from wildfires? Adaptation will pay off for all of us. We'll save lives, protect nature, reduce inequalities, and create new opportunities. We'll even be promoting growth and development while we're at it. Our work is just beginning. Join us as we adapt our way into the future.
So as you saw in the VTL, the average temperature in the world is on the rise. If the world does not take measures against global warming, global average temperature will rise by 2.6 to 4.8 Celsius degree in average. So average means the worldwide average. So in the higher latitude, it will be rise up more and more. And even if the world takes strict measures against global warming, the world temperature will rise by about 1 degree. The impact has already begun to appear. So this figure is the concept of climate change risk and adaptation in the fifth IPCC fifth assessment report. Climate change risk is manifested by a combination of hazards, vulnerability, and exposure. Hazard does not pose a risk if there is not vulnerability or if there is no exposure. Scientific data tools are important to predict and analyze these hazard, vulnerability, and exposure, and to get hints on what adaptation to take. To reduce hazards, efforts to reduce greenhouse gases are needed. Such efforts are called mitigation. The goals of Paris Agreement is to limit global warming to well below 2, preferably to 1.5 degrees Celsius, compared to pre-industrial levels. To achieve this long-term temperature goal, countries aim to reach global peaking of greenhouse gas emissions as soon as possible to achieve a climate-neutral world by mid-century. However, the world is already experiencing changes in average temperature, shifts in the seasons, and an increasing frequency of extreme weather events and other climate change impacts and slow onset events. We have to adapt to the imminent situation. So, the faster the climate changes and the longer adaptation efforts are put off, the more difficult and expensive it would be. We have to promote mitigation and adaptation simultaneously. So let's move on to today's issue. First one is legal system in Japan. So here you can see history of policies on climate change in Japan. Well, wait a minute. So as you know, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change adopted in 1992. Under this framework convention, the Kyoto Protocol was adopted in 1997. It required developed countries to achieve specific GHG reduction targets. GHG stands for greenhouse gases. Following the adoption of the protocol, the global warming countermeasures law was enacted in Japan. Although the Article 4.1 of UNFCCC stands for this convention, has contained adaptation, there were no specific obligations or international arrangement for adaptation. In 2015, Paris Agreement is adopted. The objective of the agreement contains increasing the ability to adapt. Article 7 of the agreement said, parties hereby establish the global goal on adaptation of enhancing adaptive capacity, strengthening resilience, and reducing vulnerability to climate change, with a view to contributing to sustainable development and ensuring an adequate adaptation response in the context of the temperature goal. It is even more important to work together on adaptation in collaboration with various stakeholders. To promote adaptation, Japanese government formulated National Adaptation Plan. Here, it's NAP is in short. It adopted in 2015. Then, Climate Change Adaptation Act was enacted in 2018. Under the law, Ministry of the Environment, MOEJ, published Climate Impact Assessment Report in last December. Based on the assessment report, NAP will be revised within this year. And in addition, the government formulated a bill of amending the Act of Promotion of Global Warming Countermeasures toward carbon neutral society. So as you saw, Japan formulated a national adaptation plan before law enacted. This text is taken from the explanation of the law issued by the Ministry of the Environment. It describes we would like to have basic framework and division of laws. That is the needs for legislation. Can you imagine the needs of such legislative basis? What is the real effect of having a legal framework? So, legal framework and division of law. What is the effect of this aspect? Climate change adaptation can be tackled by the environmental authority alone. It takes the initiative of the relevant authorities to know the current situation and issues, to make a plan for what to tackle, and to implement the plan. For example, food security issue is controlled by Ministry of the Forestry, Agriculture, and Fishery. For disaster prevention, there's several ministries who work for mainly for disaster prevention, such as Ministry of Land, Transport and Infrastructure, or Cabinet Office of Disaster Prevention. So it takes, in Japan, the cabinet had decided on a national adaptation plan. Since all relevant ministries and agencies include such ministries who is responsible for disaster reduction or food security, it had some ability to execute, but its execution power was weak. Stronger ground were needed to reach out to working unit of each ministry and the finance authority. Similarly, for local governments, it was difficult to work on a plan without a legal basis because it was weak as a basis for financial support such as local allocation tax and securing organizational capacity. It was difficult to assign staffs without the obligation stipulated by the law. The law does not explicitly mention financial burden or organizational capacity. However, in the process of discussing the bill within the government, the financial burden and the capacity of the organization of each in national government and local governments will be deeply discussed and considered. That is a real need for legislation, I think. It's, I'm sure it depends on the national legislative system or administrative system. That is the Japanese situation. So based on the situation I told, the central government formulated a bill for Climate Change Adaptation Act, and it was unanimously approved. The act specifies roles of each actor, central government, local government, private sector, citizens. And it also gives our specific roles. And it also, this law also requests the central government to conduct national climate change impact assessment and revise national adaptation plan every 5 years. And in the national climate change impact assessment, there's 7 target sectors. One is agriculture, forestry, and fisheries, water, environment, and resources, natural ecosystems, natural disaster, health, industrial and economic activities, and lifestyle of citizens. Well, to assist the policy, it designates needs as an information hub by operating AP-PLAT. AP-PLAT means Climate Change Adaptation Information Platform. We provide climate and impact projection and local adaptation planning support tools by this website. Moreover, needs bears responsibility to collaborate with local governments and local climate change adaptation centers, and to assist them in formulating local adaptation plan. So here you can see legal systems in other countries. The United Kingdom and France, for example, place adaptation in climate change and environmental policy laws. UK has Climate Change Act, and it includes greenhouse gas reduction target by 2050, and also climate change adaptation programs. In France, there is law on national commitment for the environment, and it includes formulation of national climate change adaptation plan. In South Korea, there is the Low Carbon and Green Growth Act. This law stipulates efforts towards realizing a low carbon society and climate change impact assessment, climate change adaptation master plan. In the United States, there is no law, but there is a presidential order, executive order, and it include an adaptation plan should be formulated based on White House Environmental Advisory Committee's implementation guideline. On the other hand, there are many countries such as Germany that do not enact laws and respond with government plans. They have no law, but there is national adaptation plan. So it depends on the country's decision and country's legal background or administrative needs, I think. And this legal system of foreign countries include climate change risk assessment here, and climate change, climate change impact assessment, climate assessment. So as our law, Japanese law, also refers to these foreign systems. As far as I know, Japan is the first in the world to legislate adaptation independently. So sorry for busy slides. This is the structure of national adaptation plan in Japan. It's adopted as cabinet decision in 2018. It contains goals, duration, roles of entities, and basic strategies. It also has PDCA cycle to improve continuously the plan. Before discussing adaptation plan, we conduct climate change impact assessment and identify vulnerability and areas to act. Scientific knowledge empowers negotiations. It is the ministry in charge that works on the measures based on the necessity. In order to get their cooperation, it is necessary to make them believe that the measures based on this plan can be positioned as an important issue for the cabinet and can fight the budget front. Therefore, it is important to mainstreaming and embedding adaptation in the high-level national plan linked to the budget plan. So here is an example of Japanese high-level policies and plans that MOEJ made great efforts to merge adaptation aspect into them. Basic policy on economic and fiscal management and reform is very important to get national budget from financial authorities. And science, technology, and innovation basic plan is very important to create a research program or research project under national science authorities. So what kind of plan affects the budget changes year by year, even inside Japan? I'm sure that the way to create national strategies and budget plans vary from country to country. It is important to take a closer look at the decision-making process in your country. So here is an example of budgeting process introduced by the Department of Budget and Management of Philippines. There is a program named the Risk Resiliency Program, focused on climate change adaptation in the area of disaster prevention. Program comprehensive budgeting, introduced by DCM, and one program named the Risk Program, and it focuses on climate change disaster preparedness. And this slide says it's the lead agency is DENO, Ministry of the Environment in Philippines. I'm afraid I don't know the details of this Philippines program, so I can't answer the question about this system. But this kind of information will required to make project or make a plan to going some public issues. And this program will soon become obsolete. And so it's important to keep track of latest situations in your country. So next, I will talk about the role of the local government, and it's almost already 10:30, so I have to move on quickly. So this is an expected role of local government. Climate change impacts vary among regions. The adaptation measures that can be taken vary depending on the local circumstances. To properly deal with the impact, the following proactive efforts by the local government are expected. First, formulate a local adaptation plan. Second, establish a local climate change adaptation center, which can gather in information and conduct climate change impact assessment and adaptation capacity analyzing. And then third, it is also the role of local government to implement adaptation measures through collaboration among various stakeholders. And last one is enlighten citizens and local entities. Here you can see current situation of LAP, local adaptation plans, under the law. 22 prefectures and 30 municipalities have formulated LAPs. In addition, 24 prefectures and 2 municipalities have established LCCAC, local climate change adaptation centers. Hopefully, almost all prefectures will establish LCCACs within 2 years. Next, let me introduce how to formulate a local adaptation plan. These figures comes from planning guidelines prepared by MOEJ. It is assumed that the steps shown in the light blue will be carried out mainly by main executive departments, such as Environmental Department. And the steps shown in orange will be carried out mainly by the related departments and the main executive departments that are affected by climate change. So let's see how to formulate LAPs step by step quickly. Step 1 is preparation. You should consider the adaptation policies and goals of local governments and society we should aim for. For example, Osaka Prefecture's LAP describes the desirable future image at the beginning of their plan. Step 2, you should identify current impact of climate change and extreme weather. And next, you should identify future climate change impacts. Not all local governments have enough ability to conduct such survey. NEEDS provides GIS-based information of future climate change impact from AP-PLAT. That is a case of Akita Prefecture who uses AP-PLAT. Then you should conducting the climate change impact assessment. The National Assessment Report of Climate Change Impact is the first step for local analysis. The national report covers 71 items in all 7 fields, including the degree of impact, possibility, in other words, significance, timing of impact occurrence, state of adaptation, and timing when important decision-making is required. It means urgency, and accuracy of information, confidence. The evaluation was made from the 3 viewpoints of significance, urgency, and confidence. Step 5 is assessing adaptive capacity. You should collect information on existing measures related to high priority climate change impacts in local governments, then consider they are enough or not. Based on analysis in step 5, you should consider adaptation measures. Is there a need for new or additional measures or not? Finally, you can formulate a local adaptation plan. Due to the limitation of current scientific knowledge, in some cases, there are concerns about the impact, but not sure if it is the effect of climate change or not. You may include such concerns in LAPs. Here is a case study of Mie Prefecture, and it describes the risk of sediment-related disasters may be increasing, but not sure if it is the effect of climate change. But they have to take measures to manage this risk of sediment-related disasters under the local adaptation plan. So then, after the LAP published and entry into force, it is important to monitor the status of climate change impact and effects of adaptation measures, evaluate them, and continuous improvement of LAPs. If you want to see more cases, please visit AP-PLAT, the information platform of CCCA. So I will skip next slide. And let me introduce international standard for adaptation to climate change. ISO TS 14092 provides guidance on adaptation planning for local governments. It includes terms and definitions. 9 principles include accountability, flexibility, mainstreaming and embedding, transparency, and so on. And there is pre-planning, assessing climate change impact and including opportunities and other steps. It is similar to Japanese guideline I explained, but include more general steps and wider aspect. And it also focus on how to make decision making is very close up compared to Japanese guideline. So the time, there is a time left 20 minutes. So let's try to use AP-PLAT. AP-PLAT aims to share climate change risk information in Asia-Pacific region. It contains impact projection derived from national research projects and data of Regional Climate Projection Consortium, which was a joint program of Ministry of the Environment and Asian Development Bank. So I give you 5 minutes to try identification of current and future impact by Climate Impact Viewer of AP-PLAT. If possible, open your internet browser and search AP-PLAT like this. Sorry, wait a minute.
So audience students, if you can access to the internet, you can click to this URL, you can find out AP-PLAT.
So if you can open the, sorry, なんだこれ. Wait a minute. If you can open a search engine, you input AP-PLAT and you can open this website, or simply input https ap-plat.nies.go.jp. So if you open the AP-PLAT, you can see tools and guidelines, and please click Climate Impact Viewer. So sorry. It cannot change 画面が変えられません。
そちらでは変えられなかったですか？
クライメートインパクトビューアーを開けようとすると、すいません。
じゃあ私今出してるから、
はい。
これでいいかな？
はい。
すいません。出てます？
はい、出てます。
はい。じゃあ言っていただければ。I can manage.
Thank you, Professor FURUMAI.
This is Climate Impact Viewer, AP-PLAT.
And by this viewer, please try to compare current and future climate impact data under RCP 2.6. You can scenario and RCP 8.5 scenario on heat stress around your countries. So you have 5 minutes to try this impact viewer. And if possible, you please put into the chat box of your findings or your experience.
I found Bangkok is high temperature. About 4.5 RCP. Expansion.
RCP stands for representative concentration pathway. It is a very difficult word. It's the RCP 2.6 is pathway for 2-degree goal, and RCP 8.5 is the world without countermeasure for global warming.
This color indicated to the units is temperature.
You can change the setting, and you can select category, and its current view is climate, but you can use you can find climate change impact, and there is several information about heat stress, health area, or water resource area, water stress.
Okay, we can change to the climate, water resource, vegetation, and health.
Yes.
And so, this is the MOEJ, means the Minister of Environment.
And S10 project means a big research project conducted by MOEJ. And it created several GIS-based data.
There are three databases.
Yes.
And we can find to the 4 category. And we also have the temperature and precipitation change in the future. We try to achieve this RCP 2.6, but the millimeter per day, I'm not sure what's the meaning of this. Per day.
That's millimeter per day. So
precipitation,
precipitation.
It would be better to show the annual monthly, and also variation of the, there is some point to be improved in the future, AP-PLAT.
Thank you so much for your comment, advice.
Anyway, temperature is easy.
Yeah.
This is the average temperature in the future.
Yes.
Might be, it is better to show to the some agenda or meaning of this panel. So every student can give the good comment, Denise.
Yeah, please give us your view or your comments on improving.
Criticism is sometimes useful.
Transparency.
What's the meaning? Transparency. Just an image.
Yes. 地図の上の色合いの濃さが変えられます。
変えるということね。薄くする。こういうことか。文字が強くなるのと、こっちは、あれだね。Okay, I see. More information of the map. 50.
And you can also change period, middle of 21st century or end of 21st century. But it depends on the project and category. Most of the projection only has end of 21st century.
But only one climate model.
Yes.
Japan model,
yeah, Miroku. Prepared by 気象庁
Yeah. Okay. How aboutこれ違うんだ。This is another.
Yes.
Why I'm not sure why this kind of
this bilateral project only focused on specific cities in Philippines. Yes.
Philippines. I see. Interesting. Natural disaster index land use. これもいいのかな? The same? This is land use. これ agriculture. Now we can find the other informations. So it means that you try to increase to the informations on this site.
I see.
So it means that JDS students have to contribute to give the strong message to your senior administrators.
Yes.
Philippine government produce a lot of information and you can input to this platform.
Yes, thank you. And I heard government of Philippines has a similar impact bureau or something information platform inside the country. So we have to collaborate or create network for information improvement.
I see. So RCCAP, this is another.
This is a name of project conducted by UNEPRO for ADB. I forgot.
So that's the reason why there are different climate model.
Yes.
This is only 8.5.
So there are so many climate model and climate projection project. So you can use anyone, but you have to understand there is so many models. So you have to compare and choose a right one or understand uncertainty.
So is it better to finish this?
Yes.
Okay, I close it.
Thank you so much, Furuichi sensei.
So my name is Furumai, not Furumai.
Sorry.
I don't mind, but anyway.
Yeah, Furumai sensei, ごめんなさい.
So, I find the distribution different. Okay, now I want to start. Anyway, first, thank you very much for nice, really wonderful lecture on the climate change adaptations. So we are going to start to the question and answer time. So first, Bajira, where can we find the description of the different scenarios? What's the meaning?
I'm sorry, Professor. I was wondering if these are the same scenarios as defined by the IPCC. Is it the same scenarios in this viewer?
RCP, the 4 scenario given
So
IPCC.
these are the same as IPCC modeling scenarios.
I have a slide on RCP scenarios. So wait a minute. I will share it. 画面の共有。Can you see RCP graph?
Yes.
Yeah. RCP stands for representative concentration pathways. And RCPs usually refer to the portion of the concentration pathway extending up to 2020, the end of 21st century. For which integrate assessment models produced corresponding emission scenarios. So there is so many trials to create models, climate change models, and IPCC conducted try to identify the four major scenario. One is RCP 2.6, which is representative scenarios to create to achieve Paris Agreement. And RCP 8.5 is the scenario of which without climate change countermeasures.
Like a business as usual.
Yeah, business as usual.
As usual.
But we are going to maybe RCP 4.5 for hopefully right now, but we have to create more countermeasure to achieve Paris Agreement. And 2.6 or 8.5 means radiative forcing. And the radiative forcing is a change in energy flux caused by a driver of such as GHG emission, and it's calculated at the top of the atmosphere. It indicates the strength of drivers of global warming physically.
Okay.
So that's
Vajra is okay? You deepen your understanding of RCP?
Yes.
Okay. So you should also remember that 8.5 is not the temperature. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyone can raise the questions? Oh. No questions?
No question?
That we knew for you. But I learned a lot. Some part can be included my lecture in the future.
That's
especially in the introductions and for the second students. So I realized that the Philippine government have the risk resilience program.
Yes.
But they do not have the act yet.
Yes, as far as I know.
But I understand Germany, they do not have the act, but still they implement to the adaptation plan. So it means it is not necessary to have the law, but in Japan we discuss. So under the law is a kind of compulsory or some strong message for citizens. So that's the reason why in Japan, little bit late to other country, we successfully enact to the climate change adaptations. Based on that, we make a adaptation plan. And every 5 years, we have to revise the plan. And the most important message or important part of this lecture, so the government make some frame, a vision, and a whole goal international, but the environment should be managed and considering the local situations. Each prefecture, each city have the different situations. So that's reason, so the local government have to establish or make the adaptation plan based on this, their situations with the current and also future predictions. But I found sometimes it is not so clear that some change or impact is really directly influenced by climate change or not. But it is also important to report. It is uncertain, but still the impact is there. So we should be take care of monitored continuously and to easily or flexibly some response and adapt in the future. So I realized, so there are 8 steps in the local adaptation plan. First, make a visionary goal and identification and impact, current, future, assessment, impact, adaptation capacity assessment, adaptation measures, then formulate plan. And after the plan, we have to monitor or evaluate, and PDCA cycle should be implemented. But I realize ISO and TS, they also add to the report and the communications. So sometimes the monitoring evaluations is important conducted by the local government as to the communication with the citizens or other various stakeholders, including private sector or university. So this is really important to awareness or recognitions of the all people in Japan, how to adapt to the climate change. So might be the risk communication or some publicizing to the informations, including unknown or known. So this is really important. I realize. So I take some time to talk my summary or my
thank you so much. Perfect
in my brain, but some of you also have some impression of questions. Anyone? Not a question is okay, just so you can say something. I will do more work on the Philippine government or something. No? You are satisfied?
In addition, the adaptation measure requires a lot of budget. So that's why Japanese government wants to have a legislative system. The legislative system is a good way to get
budget. Finance or some money.
Yeah.
But in the future, so the kind of some crowdfunding is also high.
Or ESG.
And citizens increasing. So just they realize we can do some by ourselves. It is also nice.
Yeah, private sector is very key player for financing for adaptation measures. So it is our important issue to create guideline for financial sector.
In fact, to the more than five or 6 years ago, so very limited private company showed to the SDG some contributions in the homepage of the company. Recently, many private companies show there some vision or some contribution SDG, including the climate change. It means this kind of some image of the private company changing by showing their activity or contribution or social CSR, social society responsibility. So it means the citizens get more informations. They prefer to buy this kind of company. So behavior or recognition will be changed. Then some society itself changing to adapt to the climate change. So some questions come. Okay, now what
is this?
Dan, what is your Philippine? You provide to some Philippine homepage. Dan is mute. You can remove the mute. I think, sir, this is a similar project in the Philippines. Okay, so everybody get to the homepage in Philippines. Yeah, good. So if you do not have any questions at this moment, so we want to
climate monitoring on current situation, I think. Climate monitoring meteorological service.
This is a RCC network node for climate monitoring in Southeast Asia. So I can just show this one. So Dan introduced this page, WHO.
WMO, maybe.
WMO.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, but the
World Meteorological Organization.
Yes. RCC is the Regional Climate Center. So much more impact go to the Philippines than Japan, I guess.
Yes.
So it means really more sensitive issues on this.
Yes.
Okay, so if I want to close to the shared page. So if you do not have any question at this moment, and after the lecture, if you have some question or comment, please send to me. I transfer to Yoshikawa-san. Okay, so please, as usual, everybody show up your face, then we can keep into the screenshot for the memorial photo for special lecture. Now I change to the directions. I can show you my face more lighter with Mount Fuji. Okay, everybody ready? So smile, big smile. Okay, I try to confirm. Okay. So take a picture. One, please, 1, 2, 3. 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I want to confirm I can take this picture. Okay. Okay, I successfully keep this file. Just a moment. So please express our thanks to Yoshikawa-san by clapping hand. Thank you very much. どうもありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。すいません、先生のお名前をずっと間違えておりまして。
いやそういうのがなかなか面白いところで。
それがビデオに残ってしまうと思うと本当に申し訳ございません。
大丈夫ですし、上手に編集するかもわかりませんから。So now I stop to the recording. So thank you very much for participation. And
thank you very much for participation.
I hope everybody enjoyed the lecture.